Well, hello there, especially to anybody who's a meat eater, a vegetarian, a vegan, a pescatarian, or basically anybody who relies on consuming food to survive on planet Earth. Or maybe even Mars, Venus, anywhere basically. But you may have seen on your Facebook an advert going out for an organisation called AllPlants. Maybe you've tried HelloFresh, you've tried the many other subscriptions which bring a handy box to your home and all the ingredients are in there. All you need to do is to cook it. Now, as a family, we've tried practically all of them, and to be honest, we haven't been impressed. The food quality has been quite good, but the one problem we've had is the portion sizes are far too small. Now, as a family who work full time and we've got children who are school age, so tea time is a bit of a rush for us. So when my wife discovered this, which markets itself as 100% plant-based, and what makes it even better than some of the other ones is that your meals arrive in one big box. In fact, here is the box here. And all you need to do is to choose which one you want for that day, and then you put it in the oven. It's frozen, by the way, and then you eat it. So I decided I would do a little review. Now, just to say, this is completely honest. We bought these ourselves. We haven't been paid to say they're any good. We haven't been paid to say that they're bad. It's just 100% honest. Now, for a family who we try our best to eat as healthy as we possibly can, we cook all of our meals from scratch, the odd jar now and again, but we decided that maybe we're consuming too much meat and we wanted to try something different. And that's where this came in. So this is a full week's worth of meals and we've just finished them yesterday. So they arrive on your doorstep in a box like this. Everything that you see here is completely renewable and recyclable. So there we go. Oh, sorry. So I just hit the camera there. It even says exactly everything that you need to know there. And let's get out of the way. It arrives completely insulated like this here, and you have inside there these things. Now, these are very strange because they aren't full of anything, but they arrive and they've got something in them. This is very strange, but basically this is solid carbon dioxide. So it's just cold air in a bag, and that's what keeps it all frozen. So we've been told that this can keep for quite a long time on your doorstep. So you don't need to be at home when it gets delivered, unless you live in a rather rough area, and then I guess somebody could nick it and your food's gone. But it arrives in this handy box here, and the good thing is, before I forget about this, that you can actually post this back to them free of charge. There is a receipt label which you stick on it. You take it to the post office. You don't have to wait. You don't have to pay for anything. You just send this back, and then everything you see here can be used again, which is a great idea. Or most homes at the minute have got recycle bins. You can put it in your own and it's all recyclable. Is that what you say? Recyclable, that's it. So you get to select the meals that you want. The photographs look fabulous and you read reviews. Some of them are fairly mixed. It depends where you go. But I wanted to do a review of the meals that we selected. So first of all, this is creased. And this is creased because this was one of the first ones that we had, and I didn't realise that I'd be doing a review, so we chucked it in the bin and then I had to get it back out again. So this here, I'm probably not saying it right at all. It's a new recipe and it's called polpety orza. By the way, post in the comments if I've said that completely wrong and you're at home laughing. But it says it is slow cooked aubergine, red pepper and courgette with juicy orzo. What's an orzo? No idea. Topped with seared mushrooms and sun-dried tomatoes. And what they've done in this, I remember this very well because, I'll be honest with you, it was awful. What they've done is they've tried to make a sort of mushroom and sun-dried tomato meatball. And to be honest, I wish we hadn't have had this one first because I think this set the tone for the rest of it. And the problem is that we tried this and everything around the meatballs, it was edible. It was all right. It tasted very fresh, but the meatballs themselves, they were too salty, and I think actually if they hadn't have got salt in it, I know why they put loads of salt in it, because if they hadn't, it would have been completely tasteless. And in fact, we completely left the meatballs. We didn't eat them at all. They were horrible. The rest of it was all right. So that was day one, not off to a good start. And then meal number 2, we moved on to this. And this is a mushroom and chickpea korma. The description says, a creamy almond and coconut korma with garlic mushrooms, turmeric chickpeas, sweet potato and roasted aubergine. Now already we started to realise that a lot of the meals that they prepare have got aubergines in, and it's almost like a set recipe for everything, and they just tweak it slightly to make it a different dish. Sometimes they do it well, other times they do it not so well. But this one, I think, again, we found ourselves having to top up the portions. Now, we aren't big eaters, me and my wife, but we found that by the time it arrives and it's been cooked, you've got basically a tray which is, well, it's the size of that. So look, there's my hand. It's the size of that. And it's not really enough. So what we found we had to do was to buy things as sides. We bought ourselves some poppadoms, some mango chutney, and in a way, I'm sad to say that that was the highlight of the meal for us. And that was day 2. Now, we move on to this here. Now, this for us, it got very exciting because we cooked this, the 3 mushroom risotto, and I'll be honest with you, when it was done and it was dished upon the plate, the smell of it, I was thinking, here we go again. We've been at work all day and you like to come home to something tasty, you like to come home to something that you really want to eat, and we were presented with something that was a bit just, great, okay, let's eat this then. But it says that it's got creamy rice with thyme topped with a garlicky medley of portobello, button and chestnut mushrooms and toasted walnuts. Now, what I do need to say is that a lot of their meals that they do, they tend to put nuts in where they aren't really needed. It's not needed at all. You wouldn't usually put nuts, any sort of nuts, in a risotto. So why they've decided to do it, I don't know. But hands down, the 3 main mushroom risotto was one of the best risottos I've ever had in my life. Now, I've ordered it in a few restaurants and it's been all right, but this, genuinely, it didn't lack anything. It could not be improved in any way. It was seasoned well, it was tasty, it was fresh, the mushrooms were cooked perfectly. Everything about this was fantastic. And I would quite easily have that over and over again. So, AllPlants, well done on that one. That is a great one. So after this, we had the bad one, we had the fairly bad one, we had the absolutely blow your socks off fabulous one, and then we were primed and ready for a surprise. We were thinking, well, maybe we've done this right, and it's a curvature like this. They're getting better, they're getting better. The only way is up, and the next one is going to be fabulous. You can't really go wrong when you mention barbecue. You imagine that it's going to be a really nice barbecue sauce, it's going to be fabulous, and then this arrived on our plates. A barbecue burrito bowl. Barbecue jackfruit, which a lot of people say a jackfruit has the same texture of pork, pulled pork, when it's done. That's nonsense. It tastes nothing like pulled pork. It's not got a texture, a taste, or anything like pulled pork. Roasted peppers with a Tex-Mex rice mix and refried beans. They certainly tasted like they had been refried, not once, twice, but potentially 10 times. Topped with smoky almonds. Again, the nuts. There's no need to put nuts in a burrito. And then there was tofu in there. Now, I've not had tofu for a long time. And the thing about tofu is that when it's prepared well, it's very good. When it's prepared badly, it is awful. And this is one of the worst meals I've had. Okay? This was absolutely awful, to the point where we had wraps to put it in, because again, we felt that we may need to bulk it out slightly. We had a few sides. We made some wedges. and it was just awful. It was so bad that we chucked it away. It was just awful. It was completely tasteless. It was just, honestly, I hope it's coming across the screen to you how bad this was. Do not order this. It is awful. It's tasteless. The textures were all over the place. It wasn't seasoned at all. And it was just a disaster. We chucked it away. It actually was not worth the calories consuming it. So we made something completely different. And then the final day we had this, which is basically a bolognese, a rich and hearty minced mushroom, lentils and walnuts. Yeah, walnuts, why again? You don't put nuts in a bolognese. And a ragu sauce folded through pasta and sprinkled with an almond. See, again, we don't want your nuts. An almond palm crumb. Now this, it was all right, it was palatable, but it wasn't really wet enough. There wasn't enough sauce there somehow. Now, I'm no chef, believe it or not, but you can make a decent bolognese without having meat in it. You can actually make a decent bolognese without putting Vegemite in it, because I do appreciate that some Vegemite isn't vegan. But I don't know why they tend to sort of tweak the dishes so much. So again, the burrito bowl. You can quite easily make a burrito without the meat and without anything that isn't vegan, but you don't need to change the mixture so it's not a burrito at all. It's just something completely different. And for this bolognese, it just wasn't really a bolognese. It was something completely different, a different dish. So for us, I just want to tell you, by the way, that I did live as a vegetarian for most of my life, because my dad's been vegetarian for coming up to what's probably 40 years. So I'm not one of those people who is a real meat eater. You have to have meat in every dish. I'm very experimental. I'm easygoing when it comes to food. But for me, this here, the AllPlants, has got so much potential. I mean, alone, I'm sorry to keep going on about this, but alone, if you take that risotto, that needs to be the benchmark for what the quality should be. It was fabulous. But all the other ones just tend to stray away so much from what they should be. So for me, if I was to rate this out of 10, I would probably give it a 4.5 or a 5. Because out of the 5 dishes, we only had one that would make us go back. It's a great idea. It was packaged well, you know, and the fact that it's frozen and you don't have to come home from work and start cooking something is a great advantage. It's wonderful. You can keep it in your freezer for however long, come home from work, pierce it, put it in the oven, go and get changed, have a shower, come down and it's ready for you. It's a great idea. And of course, they're trying to do something different, which is great again. But for us, you just need to get your dishes and your recipes a bit better. We haven't tried them all, but we tried a good selection and it just wasn't quite hitting the mark. But if they improve the dishes, if they do a lot more customer research and find out what people want, I do think that this could be something that a lot more people would want to do. But for us, it's a 4.5 and a 5. But by all means, try it. If you've tried it already, let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And hopefully this has been useful.